Alright, now before we go on to the correction for the transport system questions, let's always revise the topic before we begin. So do have your doodle book out with you, okay? And you should have read this before. So for the plant transport system, for instance, we can understand it from the diagram here. For example, food carrying tubes. So where is the food being made? It's made in the leaves, alright? The leaves are where food is being made. And when food is being made, well, the food has to be sent to the rest of the plant because the stem needs the food as well. The roots also need the food. So what happens is the food that's made here is transported down the food carrying tubes. The food that's made here is transported down the food carrying tubes. Alright, transported all the way to different parts of the plant, all the way down to the stem and then to the roots, where the roots will also need the food. Now similarly, the water is absorbed by the roots underground here, and the water is absorbed and it goes up the water carrying tubes, up through the water carrying tubes in the stem, up to the branches and to the leaves, where the leaves will also need the water, up, you see, some more to the rest of the plant. Okay, and that will be basically the plant transport system. Alright. Of course, this slide is a revision of whatever we have learned before in the previous video on plant respiratory system and transport system. We have not talked about this yet, about stomata and tiny openings. We will talk about it when school reopens. Alright, this part, well, we have talked about it earlier, about the percentage of nitrogen in the air, oxygen, and the rest of the gases will be carbon dioxide, water vapor, and other gases. Okay, now for this after this quick revision, let's go back to doing the corrections. So where can you find food carrying tubes? So of course they must be everywhere. So the food that are made in the leaves can be transported to everywhere, such as the stem and such as the roots. So it must be A, B, and C. Okay, answer is 4. The diagram below shows a plant R and S. Here represents the direction of water and food being transported. Going up must be water. Okay. Now, which of the following shows the correct path to the material in the food and water carrying tubes? So this one, I'm not sure why the arrow didn't appear clearly. Should be coming down. This one should be carrying food. So S therefore should be carrying food, and R here should be carrying water and mineral salts. Okay, answer is 4. Remember we just saw this just now. Water is transported up from the roots to the rest of the plants. Okay, and it's carrying water as well as mineral salts. Now let's go on to a question where we cut parts of the plant at the stem. Sue cut an outer ring of the stem between position X and Y of a plant such that only the food carrying tubes were removed. Okay, X and Y is here. In other words, this is X, this is Y. So they zoom in for you to see this part, they enlarge it. Then they only remove food carrying tubes. What does it mean? It means that, for example, if we have this diagram here, if we cut the stem somewhere here, food that is being made up there in the leaves can transport here, can transport to this part, but if it's being cut here, what happens is that the food will just stop here and can't travel further down the plant. Similarly, food that's made in the leaves here and here can still be transported down to this portion above this part that's cut, but then you just get stuck here because there's a gap and this part is being cut. Then the food can't be transported further down to reach the roots and the bottom half of the plant, which is what's happening here. Okay, the food will just be accumulating at this portion, and this portion will start to bulge over time. It start to become bigger, bulge, because the food that's transported down, it can go beyond this part. Understand this? But since the water carrying tube isn't removed at all, the water that's being transported up from the roots will continue to travel to the rest of the plants. In other words, the leaves and all of the parts of the plant up here will continue to receive water, and they continue to make food because so long as there's light. But the bottom half is the part that will suffer. So this part will have no food. Okay, sorry, I spelled extra, I got an extra zero, no food, because food can't be transported down because it cut away the food carrying tubes here. So only part Y will be swollen. Of course, that is wrong. You know that's wrong now. So there are two parts of the question. Do you agree with her? No. Explain your answer. Well, explain it this way. Let me write it out in words. Food that is made where? Where is the food made? In the leaves. Cannot be transported. Learn to use this word transported, because this topic here is on circulatory system, or something they call it the transport system. Cannot be transported past the part that is cut, comma, and will accumulate at part X. That's why Sue is wrong when Sue said the swollen part will be at Y. Sue is wrong because the swollen part will be at X. Okay, before I go on to this, we're going to take a break.